There's a story about the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. There was a Chassid that lived in Kfar Chabad. His name was Rabbi Zalman Sudakevich. Rabbi Zalman Sudakevich. And like so many of these elder Hasidim, he passed away. He passed away a few years ago. And but they had tremendous self-sacrifice for Judaism and for one another. So he tells an interesting story that, if I'm not mistaken, the story is like this. This is in France, and the Lubavitcher Rebbe came to France to bring his mother. His father passed away. His father passed away basically in exile, in prison. I mean, he was let out of prison, but very shortly after he passed away. And his mother, with tremendous difficulty, she got out of Russia. She got out of Russia, and this is in the time of the communism was still full force. So she got out of Russia. So the Rebbe went, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, he was in America at the time. This was in 1948 or something. I don't remember when, 1940. Anyway, so he left, 47. So he went from America. The Rebbe arrived in America in 1941. So he went from America to get his mother. When he went to get his mother, and there were Hasidim there, and they made a Farbringen. So they made a Farbringen. Either that it happened then or when he was in America. Any case, so he made this Farbringen. They made a Farbringen. Hasidim got together. And one of them told the story, and this was Zalman Sudakevich. And what was the story that he told? He said that the Hasidim were in Poland. This was in 1939. The previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, he arrived there in Poland in 1929. And so this was some time before that, but not too long before the war started. So the Germans were already starting to take over places and whatever. And there were Hasidim that wanted to leave. They wanted to leave. Give me a second. Give me a minute. Give me a moment. Yeah, that's right. They wanted to leave. They wanted to run away. So in order to get out, so they had to pass over these different borders. And things were very, very tense and very, very tight in those times. And the previous Rebbe was there, and he gave them all a blessing that they should leave. 1 minute. Maybe the story is like this. Just 1 second. I'm starting to rearrange this thing in my mind. The previous Rebbe, right? The previous Rebbe at that time, he was in America, and the Rebbe was also in America. This is like not before the Germans took over. I think this is even after the Germans took over. And the previous Rebbe had left, and he was in America. Okay, there were all these Hasidim that were trapped, and they wanted to get out. And they wrote to the Rebbe and asked for a blessing that they should leave. And the Rebbe gave them a blessing. So he said that, so they left, they ran away from the country that they were in. I think that they were in Poland, but it could be they were in France. I know I'm wrecking the story up, but I'm just trying to get the details straight and trying to remember what the details were. In any case, the main thing of the details, I should have forgot the details in the beginning, but okay. The main thing of the details, there were these Hasidim in Europe, and they wanted to leave Europe and run away to Israel. And they wrote to the Rebbe. This is either right before World War II began or after it already began. I think it was even after it began. And the Rebbe gave them a blessing that they should leave. The problem is that there were 5 of them, and they only had 4 passports. And so they would come to these different checkpoints to go to countries, and somehow or other, the first person, as soon as his passport was checked, he would pass it back to the person behind him, who would pass it back to the last guy. And the last guy would just hope that the person in the thing would not notice that he had checked it before, and he would stamp the. So it went all. But there was one checkpoint that was very, very dangerous. And there, the Germans, if something was wrong with your passport, there were people that they would take and kill them on the spot. So they were very, very. And how did they make it? They would check on the trains also, but these four, they would sit on the ones that did have passports would sit on the one that didn't have a passport. As they had, what did I say, four passports and five people. So four guys would sit on one, put their coats over. So, but when they got to this one checkpoint, so they were praying and worrying, and they heard shots and screams, and they passed and the fifth guy went by. He didn't even check his passport at all. He just said go. All of a sudden, the guard got a phone call or something, and he just told him to move on, and he didn't check his passport. And this was a big miracle that happened. Okay, this story was told in the Verbringen. It was a Verbringen that was made in France, and they told this story in the Verbringen. And so the Rebbe asked exactly what was the date that this happened. So they told him the date. So the Rebbe said, "Now I understand something." So what did he understand? He said, in the Rebbe in America, he had to receive, when he got to America, he was already paralyzed. And he had to receive a shot regularly. A nurse would come in and give him a shot. One day, a nurse came in to give him the shot. And she saw that the Rebbe was like the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, right? Previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, they saw he was like catatonic. He was just sitting there with his eyes open, and he wasn't looking like up at the ceiling. And she didn't at first know if he was dead or alive. She checked his pulse. She saw that he had a pulse and everything, but he just was not responding to anything whatsoever. He was just looking. So they didn't know what to do. They called the previous Rebbe's wife, and it happened to be that the Rebbe was passing by, and she called him in, and if he could help, if he could see what to do. So the Rebbe said, "I came in, and I looked at the Rebbe. I saw that his lips were moving, and I listened, and I said, he's okay. He's all right. He's saying, Az Yashir, the song that the Jewish people sang when they went over the sea, Az Yashir Moshe B'nai Israel. He's singing the song. He's saying that, and everybody listened, and they said, yeah, it's true. And nobody understood why. He said this like over and over and over again, and maybe 10, 15, 20 times, however, and then he stopped and everything was normal. He said, nobody ever understood what it was. I never asked the Rebbe why it happened. He said, but now I understand. He said, at that moment, when you were going over that dangerous pass, that dangerous the checkpoint, as that was the Rebbe felt that. And he was saying, Az Yashir was passing you through, like the Jews passed through Yam Suf. He was passing, he is saying that, passed you through. The miracle happened and they let you go through. So we see that from that story, several things. Sorry for the confusion in the beginning. First of all, we see that the Rebbe knew what was happening with his Chassidim. Secondly, we see that the Rebbe helped, that his prayers, his thoughts, they actually helped in the most miraculous way. And so it is, and even though the Rebbe was not in that place at all. So it says that tzaddikim, especially Rebbes, they're more powerful and active after they pass away than before, because they don't really pass away. It's not really passing away. It's a revelation of their true essence of caring for their Hasidim and for the Jewish people and for the whole world in a more unlimited way. They're not limited to their bodies anymore. So now we're coming up to, we've just finished Yud Shvat, which was the changing of the guard. The previous Rebbe passed away, and the year after that, the Rebbe took over. So now we have all these forces which are working for us and helping us to pass over this terrible exile and to flee from our enemies and to destroy our enemies that are pursuing us. And we should see the miracles right now for sure. The Rebbe and the previous Rebbe's father are all saying Az Yashir, that all of our soldiers should come out in peace, and the Sus Varochba, the soldiers of our enemies, should drown in the sea. Happy ending. Have a good day with Mashiach now, and God willing, see you all tomorrow, 8:15 in the morning. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it.